Digimon Liberator, Debug 3.1. Room isn't the right word for this place. It's said to have walls, but no matter how hard one squints, it just seems to stretch out endlessly like a wide sea. Floating all around are boxes, some large, some small. And at their center is an artificial structure resembling a D-storage, except colossal, called Avalon. If the tales are to be believed, it's a paradise where the lost will find release. This is the Garden, a top secret location believed to exist within the EGG. It's accessible only to debuggers, and it's where their duties are assigned. It's sort of like a physical version of the software backend, this virtual world's backyard. And here, in this backyard, stand two people and their partner Digimon. Yuki, a girl in an oversized white coat, alongside her Impmon, a little devil type, and Ryutaro Williams, dressed in a fancy black jersey, military pants, and a red cap, alongside his dinosaur-type Tyrannomon. With its crimson hide and chiseled muscles, the Tyrannomon almost appears to be covered in armor, and his partner is likewise in peak physical condition. The pair are senior debuggers despite having joined the game following the official release, later than Yuki and Winner, who were beta testers. Okay guys, how about we check out the mission? Said Ryutaro with his usual enthusiasm. His fiery energy reminded one of a comic book hero, which was exactly what he aspired to be. It was clearly infectious, as Yuki thrusts a fist into the air. Heidi! Ryutaro gave a cheerful grin back at her. It had taken him a while to realize that this was Yuki's way of saying, alright. Tyrannomon, however, looked vexed, tilted his head, and asked in a thick, bassy voice, "Why can't you just say, alright?" To which Impmon, standing with its hands on his hips at Tyrannomon's knee level, chimed in, "My thoughts exactly." Digimon Liberator Side Story, Debug 3.1, Ryutaro. Ryutaro turned to his team for confirmation. Everyone clear? This mission's nice and simple. Yep. In short, it's a roundup, as we say in the Wild West, enthused Yuki. They had just returned from seeing Altea, the lead debugger, and had been delegated a task that the GMs would usually handle had they not been too busy. Under ideal circumstances, debuggers have to do no more than play the game just like everyone else. However, when the GMs are overloaded, the debug team act as an extra pair of hands. These are some real low-lives we're dealing with, cheating just to get that prize. Tyrannomon's angry words provoked firm nods from the others. The task assigned to Ryutaro and Co. is to deal with a sinister group of players. Though known to the debugging team for a while, their modus operandi had only recently come to light. The issue concerns a series of minor weekly tournaments held in Digimon Liberator. For comparison, the real-world equivalent in terms of scale would be a local tournament, such as a store tournament. These tournaments are structured into multiple blocks and offer prizes for winning or even just competing. Regular in-game items are among these, but if you make it to the final rounds, you can get something extra special, like a promotional card with limited availability. Impmon was equally ruffled. Blackmailing players through cheats, it's just pathetic. Blackmail was just the word. The perpetrators were a group of around 30 who had been entering the tournaments with little success. What they did succeed in, however, was identifying each block's winner. They would then set up meetings with these players and, using their cheat tool, restrict their ability to log out. They would corner them and offered to remove the restriction in exchange for handing over the prize. Most frightening was that the cheat tool could shut off all means of in-game communication. It was therefore blackmail in more than one sense. Players couldn't send mail, nor use voice chat, or even go to the GM's support center in the central district of Jewel. Naturally, though, the tool had no power in the real world. Players duly turned to the IDEA customer support center, and the resulting flood of complaints caught the admin's team's attention. However, the group's misdeeds did not stop at the bounds of the virtual world. Once they had obtained the prizes, they would go onto real-world social media and offer them for ludicrous prices. Their preferred form of payment seemed to be alt-art chips. With the huge amount they were obtaining, there were plenty to share around the whole group. Even average players had become aware of this situation, and it was starting to affect tournament members. A vicious cycle was in the offing. I can't stand seeing them get away with this. Visibly outraged, Tyrannomon turned his head skywards and let out a little burst of fire, like a short sigh. Wouldn't it be best to just change how the tournaments are run? Give different prizes or something? Replied Impmon, his eyes listlessly following the flame's trail. If you don't change something, the fun will be spoiled. The problem here isn't the prizes, but now you mention it, what would you want them to be, Impmon? Quizzed Yuki. But her partner's response was unenthusiastic as ever. I'm not gonna rack my brains to answer that. Chances of you winning a tournament are 0 after all. Yuki hit back. Huh? Did you just say please put me back in your D-storage? Huh. Unluckily for you, that's not possible in the garden, scoffed Impmon. Say what? Okay guys, how about we calm down a little? With Yuki and Impmon growing increasingly rowdy, Ryutaro decided to nip a potential quarrel in the bud. He always strove to keep a level head, as all grown adults should. Stating his policy, I know you've got fire, but keep inside you for now. We need to stay cool, says the guy who always acting so fired up, commented his partner amusedly. That's nice of you to say, Tyrannomon, replied Ryutaro with an appreciative chuckle. There you go again, only hearing what you want to hear. Even while rebuking me, your words always improve my mood. You really are the ultimate partner, a constant boost to my motivation. It was way, way back that we first met. Back then, you were just a static illustration on the packing for a portable LCD screen toy. I thought you were awesome even then, and now I have you beside me in the flesh, and as my partner to boot. Who'd have thought such a dream come true situation was possible? It makes me insanely grateful to be a Digimon Liberator player, and a member of the Debug team at that. Ryutaro shook his head. There have been cases, but almost every time the cheater was found out and banned straight away, he explained. Most cheating tools had been developed through tampering with a D-storage, which was transferred from the real world into the virtual. These were obvious to Tails admins because they used custom firmware, which the system immediately recognized as an irregular OS. He continued, This time though, we don't know how they implemented the cheat, and so we don't know how they brought it into the game. There were no clues. All they had to go on was the complaints from players. It was unnerving, to say the least. Had the group somehow accessed the internal system and rewrote the code so their tool was deemed legitimate? Just what kind of cheat allowed you to prevent players from logging out or using the report function? Worst of all, there wasn't a shred of proof of a tool having been used, aside from those players' word. This was far graver than any run-of-the-mill cheat. Could there be a bug, even? So, to sum it up, we don't have any evidence that they've done wrong. Now that is a problem. Without evidence, there's not really anything we can do, is there? Guess not. They'll just shrug us off and deny it all. Yuki and Immon accurately summed up the situation, and Ryutaro could only agree with them. They won't just come clean. That's one thing for sure. The perpetrators knew that they were doing was wrong, yet would surely claim innocence all the same. Tyrannomon wanted action. If you're certain of that, then what do you suggest we do? However, Ryutaro was giving nothing concrete away yet. If the lips are sealed, we'll have to lose them. Of course. What I'm asking is, how? I have a plan! Nice. Ryutaro loved that phrase. And having directed the conversation and built up the tension just so, he delivered it with aplomb. Oh? Wait, really? Let's hear it, Ryu. Having captured Yuki's curiosity, he smirked snidely, paying no mind to the exasperated headshaking from Impmon and Tyrannomon. Remember there was a store tournament a week back? Yep, I do. Same thing went down. The winner was cornered, blocked from logging out, and forced to give up the prize. Right. And that's what led us being assigned to this mission, since that player got a picture of the name of someone involved. So, now it's on us to end this reign of terror before things reach Alpha and Omega levels of gnarly. Alpha and Omega levels of gnarly? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, just a little phrase Mom taught me. That doesn't answer my question. With Yuki perplexing Impmon again, Ryutaro tried to get the conversation moving forward. Basically, she means it would be as bad as it gets. And free language lesson for you. Alpha and Omega represent beginning and end in ancient Greek. The lesson fell on deaf ears. He expected as much. Okay, but I don't really care, actually, scoffed Impmon. Okay, guys, we need to get back on topic. Now, what do you think they did once they got their hands on the prize? Asked Ryutaro, turning to Yuki. I heard already. They posted a trade offer on social networks, seeking Aldart chips. And lots of them. Enough to get 10 secret parallels, I think. That's right. And I agreed to the offer. You what? Uh-huh. Ryu, really? The three others expressed their disbelief and then fell silent. No one knew what to say next. Seeing their puzzled expressions, he calmly reiterated. What's there to be confused about? I saw the trade offer online, and I said yes before anyone else. Blindingly bright sunlight lit the area. It was even more intense from the reflections of the vast sandy coastline, stone buildings, and incessantly lapping waves. Rain never fell on Lapis Marine, nor did clouds ever cover its skies, and that was why people called it the ever-sunny seascape. It's probably the most serene spot in all of Lacuna, and attracts more tourists than any other. Ryutaro was as much of a fan as anyone, and having to come here on this mission bothered him. Of all the places to meet those crooks. After succeeding in his bid for the prize item, he'd been told to collect it at the base of the Lapis Stadium Tower. It was an audacious choice for a meeting place, given that it was where the tournament had been held. Doesn't this rankle you, Tyrannomon? Why did this lush area have to be the stage for their disgusting behavior? The thought made Ryutaro's guts churn. Don't get so worked up. Our mission would be the same wherever it was. That's a fair point. As for said mission, there are two other pairs on the team. Yuki and Impmon plus Winner and Fanbimon. Winner's role was especially critical. He would be the one to make initial contact with the perpetrators. He had volunteered and had set out for Lapis Marine before everyone else. Ryotaro thought it was too much to handle for a young kid, but Winner out-argued him. If you go, I can just see there'll be problems. On the other hand, they're sure to let their guards down with me, since I'm a kid. So, I insist. It was a bit pitiful to have no counter-argument, but Ryotaro accepted he wasn't suited for the task. I know my strengths and weaknesses, and that's why I never fail. Though 10 years, Winner has a good head on his shoulders, better than mine, and he's always been a reliable debugger, so I'll trust him. Yuki and Emon are also in position close by. Ryu, I forgot to mention, Espimon messaged earlier with a warning, said Tyrannomon. Is that right, partner? What was it? If they try to run, we can't let them go towards Lapis Stadium Tower. This would have raised an eyebrow, but Tyrannomon explained immediately. They're going to test the guy who took down the rampaging NPC. See if he's cut out to be a debugger. They don't want any interference. Roger that, Tyrannomon. Besides, I'm sure we get them before it comes to that. Between Winner, Yuki and me, we've all got the bases covered. Nothing ever dampens your enthusiasm, does it? And I suppose if it does end up as a chase, I'm more than big enough to block the way. Alright then, nothing left but to wait. Just another few minutes until the arranged time. To be safe, maybe I ought to recheck the area for possible escape routes. Just as he started to scan his surroundings, Ryotaro heard a low-key alert sound from his hip. It was his D-storage. Ryotaro's reaction was immediate. He checked the sender. Winner. Probably the crooks have shown up then. Yuki, Ryu, they saw I'm a kid and it looks like they're planning to take advantage. There are a lot of them, more than 10. Please come ASAP. You have to be kidding me. What would be the point of bringing the whole group just to make a trade? It would make no sense whatsoever. They would only do that if... Realizing the situation wasn't good, Ryotaro chastised himself. I should have been the one to go. I knew it from the start! Of course, Winner would look like an easy target compared to me. He obviously has more spare time. Plus, they'd assume from the offer that he has tons of alt-art chips. Still, he couldn't fully believe it. His body shook with rage as he tried to process just how low these people had stooped. It's easy to forget since he's a fellow debugger, but Winner is only 11. And besides, Digimon Liberator is just a game. Realistic as it is, it's VR, not actual reality. The whole point is to enjoy yourselves. That goes especially for the younger players. To Ryotaro, their happiness was a sacred thing that he struggled to believe anyone would trample upon. What happened to knowing my weaknesses? What happened to never failing? Man, what a joke. Winner volunteered, sure, but I gave the green light. What a clown I feel right now. This isn't how I'm supposed to do things. It's the opposite of what a superhero would have done. His self-directed rage was far from subsiding when his partner called out. Save the reflection for later, Ryu. Okay, we better get moving. Time to make amends. We've got this, partner. They've come to a central part of the Lapis Marine urban area. Proceeding down an alley, they arrive at a nondescript plaza with no resident NPCs nor notable architecture. It's simply a backwater part of town, one no one would think of coming to. But come they have, and now Winner, Yuki, and Ryu found themselves surrounded by a group of men. The team's partner Digimon were on standby in their D-storage. As was reported, the group numbered over a dozen. One of them delivered a put-down. So, what if you're debuggers? Anything special about you compared to ordinary players? Nope. Your whole undercover operation thing is pretty foolish, seeing as there's nothing to investigate, chimed in another. And the mocking continued. Unless you have evidence to the contrary. Yeah, I didn't think so. The group appeared far from being faced by Ryuta revealing who they were. Still, he persisted. You're right, we're just ordinary players. But we'll see to it that you're punished. Oh, please. Like we just told you, nothing we've done is against the rules. Ryutaro wasn't having it. They really want C-Sense, huh? Not liking where this was going, Winner slowly held up a hand to indicate his disagreement. Don't forget that we've agreed to trade. We would have grounds to report you for fraud if you don't give us the item. Haven't given us the Aldar chips yet, though, have they, Aruba? One of the group turned back to address a bespectacled man wearing a suit, who had the unmistakable air of full-time office worker. He couldn't have been far from Ryutaro's age. Now that he looked at them all, they were all youngsters except for this Aruba. He was surely the leader. Aruba answered, No, they haven't. Aside from that, let's assume that you do work for the admins. Might it not be an issue if it emerged that there are undercover investigators posing as ordinary players? In fact, I think that could create quite the scandal. Knew they wouldn't lie down and roll over. So they think they can get away scot-free by taking advantage of our position. That leaves one option. Say, Aruba, why don't we settle this like card gamers should? The only scandal here will be how rapidly that cockiness of yours vanishes once I beat you. Let's have ourselves a blazing hot battle! Why don't we? To be continued.